she's all epoxy back together. I used Loctite marine epoxy. I drilled some holes through the center of the epoxy that was embedded in the middle of the mounts and around the outside of the mounts, and then spread some white epoxy on it on the bottom of the mount, set the mount in there, and then I spread some epoxy around the outside edges of the mount after they were set in the hull. And I screwed my radio plate back in, and we got some bricks, adding some weight, and we'll see in 24 hours if this works or not. Hopefully it does. This is the stuff that I used, Loctite marine epoxy. It's sets in 2 hours. They said it cures in I think it's 5 to 7 days, but within 24 hours you should be able to move the electronics back in. I got the ESCs are pulled out, just because I had to put a brick right where the ESCs are. Left the receiver and the speed control in there. Got a little epoxy on a motor connector. I had to wipe it off real quick. But that's pretty much where she sits right now. Hopefully this fix works. This is my buddy Rich. He said he used it on his both of his Zeloses. He said he had to do it twice on them. Everybody else was saying to use some other things that probably would have worked really well, but they were really permanent stuff, like panel bond, which you'll never get back out of the hull. And with the 6-cell battery packs on there and some weight thrown around, I was afraid it might crack the tunnel or rip the tunnel out of the boat. I'd rather have the tray come back off than have fiberglass torn out of the tunnel of the boat. But that's how she sits right now, and we'll see in 24 hours how it looks. You can see down in there I spread quite a bit of epoxy in there, probably a little too much. I might have actually epoxied the radio tray to the mounts, which probably isn't a bad thing. These back 2 screws, I don't know if you can see it down in there, there's 2 screws there in the back. That mount was fine, so I used that to center everything up. So I put those 2 screws in first and then screwed the rest of the mounts in, hopefully putting it right back into its original spot where it was. But we'll see what happens. One of the other things I noticed was with the radio tray out of the boat, the hull had a little bit of a tweak to it, where it wasn't sitting flat. So I don't know with the radio tray back in there if it's going to sit flat or not. We'll have to take a look at that after it's done. But I believe they said 5 to 7 days is total cure time on this epoxy. I don't have any plans on running in the next week or so anyway, so that's how she's going to sit. But thanks for watching. Warpaint's on the mend. Hopefully I'll have an update for you in a couple days, see how it looks. Talk to you later.